Global merchandise trade growth is expected to plummet to just 1.9% this year, according to the latest figures from the WTO. The US eases sanctions on Iranian oil and strikes a deal with Japan on critical minerals cooperation. The EU advances a major trade deal with the US, but with a lot of strings attached. Meanwhile, WTO ministers will start to arrive in Yaoundé, Cameroon, from Tuesday for the WTO's 14th Ministerial Conference.
Welcome to This Week in Trade, bringing you a quick roundup of the latest international trade news and analysis from Goida Limited's director George Riddell and the Geneva Trade Platform.
We begin in the United States, where there has been a significant shift in energy policy. The US has officially eased sanctions on Iranian oil, authorizing the delivery and sale of crude oil and petroleum products starting on the 20th of March. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent emphasized that this is a narrow, tailored, short-term authorization, but it remains a major market mover. In the tech and critical resources sector, during last week's White House summit, President Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Takashi announced a new action plan on critical minerals. This partnership will coordinate everything from geological mapping and stockpiling to preventing supply chain crises and countering economic coercion. On the regulatory front, the US Commerce Department quietly withdrew its proposed AI Action Plan implementation rule on the 13th of March without any explanation. This rule will have tied the export eligibility of AI chips to foreign data center investments or required security assurances for shipments of more than 200,000 chips. Moving across the Atlantic, the European Parliament's Trade Committee has voted to advance legislation implementing the EU-US trade deal, which would remove tariffs on a large range of US industrial and agricultural imports. However, given the shifting US tariff landscape, the European Parliament is conditioning their approval on several strict strategic safeguards. First, they've added a sunset clause, meaning tariff reductions are strictly time-limited to 31st of March 2028. A sunrise clause dictates that the EU will only implement the agreement as long as the US remains its tariffs at 15% or lower. This is a critical demand because recently imposed US Section 122 tariffs can stack with other tariffs, potentially pushing the effective tariff on EU exports above that 15% mark. The EU has also reserved the right to suspend the deal if the US makes threats regarding wider EU interests, such as the sovereignty of Greenland, or if US imports surge by more than 10%. Meanwhile, the UK government has published an aggressive new steel strategy. The ambition is to boost domestic steel production to meet roughly 40 to 50% of the country's demand, a significant jump from 30% in 2020. To achieve this, starting on the 1st of July this year, the UK will significantly cut steel import quota levels. Any volumes above those quotas will be imposed with a 50% tariff. And more importantly, this will also apply to free trade agreement partners. Looking at the broader global picture, we also have a historic milestone in South America. On the 17th of March, Paraguay became the final South American country to ratify the free trade agreement between Mercosur and the European Union. The macro outlook for trade remains challenging. The WTO's March 2026 Global Trade Outlook reports that global merchandise trade growth is expected to plummet to just 1.9% this year amidst the escalating conflict in the Middle East. Despite the recent surge in regional agreements and protectionist measures we've been discussing, a special analytical chapter in the report reveals a surprising fact. 72% of global trade is still conducted on the basis of Most Favored Nation, or MFN tariffs, those set out at the WTO. Beyond just the top-line growth numbers, the WTO's Outlook provides some fascinating insights into the mechanics of current commerce, in particular the evolving role of AI-driven trade. Finally, set to occur from the 26th to 29th of March, WTO's membership and ministers will be arriving in Cameroon from Tuesday of this week. We'll be bringing you an update of what happens in next week's edition of This Week in Trade.
Those are the headlines from This Week in Trade. To go deeper, check out more comprehensive breakdown of these and other developments on Georgia's LinkedIn. This is a new series we'll be looking to evolve and expand based on your feedback, refining what we're presenting, and adding new voices. Let us know in the comments below and via the contact form on GTP's website how we can make this a more relevant and useful accompaniment to your coffee.